Hello everybody, how are you going? And welcome to another RMR, another Rick Mercer report, with this one being Rick Makes Potato Chips.
Welcome to Hartland, New Brunswick, home to the world's longest covered bridge, but more importantly, ground zero for delicious, because it is here that magical elves gather and make wonderful potato chips, or at least that's my theory. Today, I go inside the Covered Bridge Potato Chip Factory and uncover the secrets behind civilization's greatest invention. Wow, the chip.
The chip. First of all, I just want to be learning more about this bridge because I feel as though I would have heard about it before in one of any other videos that I've seen, but you are now entering the world's longest covered bridge, or not the world's longest, but the longest covered bridge in the world at 1282 is I think of what it said. I might need a few more pixels in there. There we go, 1282 feet. Sadly, it would have been cooler if it would have been yards or meters, and I wouldn't put it past Canada to be doing it in meters, but 1282 feet, that's a pretty decent bridge, and even just seeing how long it is, it does look weird. I've never really thought of the fact that bridges aren't covered. I guess it's kind of generally not needed, but then why is this one covered? And when did it get made, so to say? So I'm surprised that it doesn't have a massive plaque and headboard up the top saying 1897 or something like that. But then I guess to be fair, looking at its foundation, it kind of looks more like formed concrete, and I wouldn't think that it would be that old. I mean, it kind of looks old, like the top part looks old, but the bottom doesn't, and that's impossible. It does look so weird though. Why are bridges never covered? I mean, I guess I know why, because you're kind of out in the elements already, but why does it look so weird, the covered bridge?
And this is Ryan Albright. He is president and the founder of Covered Bridge Chips. Hello, Ryan. How are you?
Hey, Rick. How you doing?
Now, how long has your family been in the potato business?
We've been in the potato business since the 1920s and launched the potato chips in 2009.
So this was your baby.
Yeah.
So the family, you grew potatoes, you sold potatoes, but you thought, I'm going to make chips.
Yeah, the tasty chips.
That's good. I have never had a lobster chip.
We only run them during lobster season.
Wharf. The smell of the wharf. Oh, wow. That's good.
Delicious.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, the salesman. No, it's not good. It's delicious. You gotta be hammering it home at all times. But then also the creamy dill pickle. Okay, he's clearly going out on a limb and kind of making some more random flavors like lobster chips. I mean, everyone is here, I'm sure, has heard of ketchup and all dressed, but I don't think that anyone has really heard of the lobster chips. I've never heard of lobster chips, let alone, what was it? I've even forgot. Creamy dill pickle. My God, he is really taking the potato to another level, and after 100 years of it being in his family, went, you know what, I think it's time that we level up our entire trade business here. But I just had to come back and look at this photo because, like you said, they've been in the potato business since the 1920s and then just launched this, I guess not 100 years after because this video isn't brand new, but now to these days it's 100 years of doing chips, and then now maybe a decade of 100 years of doing potatoes and now a decade of doing chips. I can imagine that that's not just a simple move, you know, going from a farm to actually production line. I don't know how they actually make them. I'm sure that we should hopefully find out in this video, but to actually be then slicing and dicing and drying and everything like that, salting, lobstering, everything on top of it, it is going to be a massive leap forward, and it's going to be a lot of investment and a big deal to go, we're going to be spending $3 million or something on all of this major overhaul of our equipment just to be producing the covered bridge potato chip. And so I can only imagine that the bridge isn't theirs, even though Rick did say he was going to have to be crossing the bridge to get to the magical land where the elves are just making chips. I can only presume that the bridge is more public than that, but maybe not. Maybe it is just a private bridge just for these guys, and they'd make their mystical potatoes over on like PEI, and that's just where the bridge gets you.
We're in stage one of the factory. Hello, what's your name?
Dan, Rod.
Hi, Dan. Now, Dan, I see we've got the large Costco-sized bag of sweet potatoes here. How many pounds is this?
About 2,000 pounds.
2,000-pound bag of potatoes. Do you need me to direct you? This way, Dan.
Hi, ho, ho, ho.
Hang on, the boss is saying stop. Hang on. Safety first. It's like you can walk on sweet potatoes.
2,000 pounds, so 500 pounds almost just straight on your foot. I mean, you're not going to lose your foot, but you're certainly not going to be having a good day. You're going to lose the rest of your day. And I'm surprised that they're anyone allowed to show that on TV. I mean, I know that Rick does his own thing to a degree, but there is plenty of people that would be watching this that would be happy to write him up, I'm sure. Just to be even writing the guy in the blue shirt up. just for operating a forklift with someone standing on the tines. I don't know how well that would go down. And so considering he then got actually pretty high, like he just goes up and he's got his hands in the hydraulics, it's certainly not recommended. Let's just put it that way, let alone putting your foot under one of the straps of the bulker pad.
Hang on, the boss is saying stop. Hang on. Safety first. It's like you can walk on sweet potatoes.
What is he doing? That's my tip.
So you just pull the string and it's gonna dump.
Yeah, sometimes they come out really fast.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta wiggle the first potato.
Oh yeah. And then once that first potato comes out.
Yeah.
Look out. It's like the
lose
ice
your
bucket
arm.
challenge, except with 2,000 pounds of potato. That was anticlimactic. It's like the scene from Flashdance. Hello, what's your name?
Rodney, sure.
Hello, Rodney, nice to see you. So these potatoes, I've just delivered these and now they've been washed, correct?
Right.
Look at the size of that sucker. That's too big,
Whoa,
isn't it, Rodney?
whoa. What kind of world's longest, biggest chip are they trying to make here? That is a hell of a sweet potato right there. And like I was saying, you wouldn't want to get hit by any of these. Like, they're not falling from a great height, but they're still falling from a decent enough height where they're getting some speed because of the pressure above them. They are seriously going to be traveling out of there. Look at it. Like, you don't want to be lying under there. You'd be pelted instantly. And you're not getting all the 2,000 pounds instantly, but eventually you're going to get kind of crushed under it. So that wouldn't be a very newsworthy or very happy way to be going down, would it? You're going, local man Rick Mercer died today under 2,000 pounds of potatoes after he just flapped like a seal after failing to pull the cord the first time. But I must be honest, I'm still amazed that these bags are able to just be tied together and not completely break. I mean, I wonder if they're kind of one-time use or 10-time use or infinite use, but they do very well to not rip and just continually be tied up and not lose your hand at the same time. I've never seen a bulker bag like that, but it seems like it needs to be a thing more often. Speaking of never seeing something before though, I don't think I've ever seen these guys with the beard hairnet. I mean, of course it exists, and I guess I probably would have seen it, but when I first saw the other guy, and now this guy as well, it just looks so in your face, so to say, that I've never really seen it to that extent, but it makes so much sense. But then I also don't get it because they're wearing a beard net. Meanwhile, Rick's walking on the potatoes. So which one is it? Do you care about your product or not? I mean, the other guy on the forklift, he was wearing one and he wasn't really part of the process. Now that they're cut, perhaps, but still, I don't think that's particularly fair. You can't be having one and not the other. Someone's shoe compared to someone's hair? I don't know which one I'd rather, but probably neither.
Look at the size of that sucker. That's too big, isn't it, Rodney?
That's right.
Too big. Oh,
Like that.
who gave Rick that
If I get out of here with all my fingers, it'll be a miracle.
Yes, I was going to say sweet potatoes are easy, but you wouldn't want to be having the wrong thing under that cleaver. That's a serious butchery cleaver that is just going to go straight through anything that happens to be underneath it. Besides the, I guess, stainless steel that is hopefully just going to be taking a beating for its entire life. But either way, Rick knew what he got himself into when he grabbed that knife after using the big knife and nearly losing his fingers to it. That thing, it's made for one task, and it does it well. Look at it, just straight through. Bang, bang.
If I get out of here with all my fingers, it'll be a miracle. I need one of these at home.
That's perfect.
How fast is that slicing the potato?
8 tiny razor blades will slice 55 pounds in about 20 seconds.
8 razor blades, 55 pounds, and 20.
That's fast. I mean, we can see how fast it is, but 55... Wait,
55
what?
pounds in about 20 seconds.
Wait, 8 razor blades, not 8 razor blades slicing 55 pounds in 8 seconds. So 8 razor blades slicing 55 pounds in 20 seconds. That's still 2 pounds a second. They must be spinning.
Tiny razor blades will
God.
slice 55 pounds in about 20 seconds.
That's
8 razor blades,
crazy.
55 pounds, and 20 seconds.
Especially because of how thin they are. Like, it's not like they're taking big chunks. 8 razor blades in 20 seconds to be dealing with that much.
Okay.
My
you want to wear a shirt
God.
when you're... Ow! Mother God!
Oh, is that hot oil? I hadn't even realized that. No wonder he just got splashed there. It makes sense. You don't want to be standing too close to that, but God, I'm still just impressed by that machinery to be able to slice that fast and that precisely. Like, to be having the hopper feed all of that potato in perfectly timed so that you're not having different ones just feed it in at different rates and therefore having it slice at different levels. I mean, I'm sure you can kind of calibrate it so it's not just the slicing rate that is actually determining how thick the slices are. That's going to be more of a packer that stops the potato from going too thick, but then to be constantly feeding it with enough pressure to keep it fed when it's slicing that fast, that's incredible. That's what I mean, like how much did these guys spend with their machinery upgrades to go from farming potatoes and just dragging the earth to slicing and all the stainless steel that's required as part of this? That's a major overhaul, so good on them for going for it, and hopefully it's working for them.
8-ton razor blades will slice 55 pounds in about 20 seconds.
8 razor blades, 55 pounds in 20 seconds.
Now, it could splash on us.
Okay. You want to wear a shirt when you're... Ow! Mother! God!
I feel like that's really good.
Oh, that tastes good, though. That tastes
290 degrees Fahrenheit.
good. Really? Sadly, this is the largest oil deposit in New Brunswick.
It takes about 3 minutes and 46 seconds.
So I'll be eating in about 4 minutes.
Exactly.
What? 280 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know how hot that is, but I don't believe it's that hot. That's only like 130? I'll have to check it, but in 4 minutes to be taking it that thin, I mean, I guess that's why it is that thin, but that's very impressive that it's that low of a heat, gets it that cooked that quickly. And also the drying of it, maybe they have to dry it after. I can only presume to get all the oils off as well. So what is 280? 280 is only 137 degrees Celsius, and so for oil to only be at 137, that's not that crazy. Like a deep fryer, I think a deep fryer is way hotter than that. So then what? That are being deep fried at medium temperature, typically between temperatures of 350 and 375 degrees Fahrenheit, or 177 to 191. So that's a big difference between 137 and 177 to 191. Like that 40, 50, 60 degrees. Oh, that's a big difference in how fast it would have been, and especially for what I would presume a chip would be. I would think they just want to hit it with the sun to try and dry it out in 4 minutes, but 130? I guess the more you learn, and all that kind of R&D to be able to learn what and how you want to be cooking the chips best, whether it's a lobster chip, whether it's a creamy dill pickle chip or anything else, it's all going to be R&D and time. That's what's always going to be so impressive with companies and family businesses that do branch away from what they've always done. There's a massive learning curve there.
Would you like a chip? Wow. They go in there, what happens?
So this machine's called a centrifuge.
Oh, it's like a tilt-a-whirl for chips.
Takes the extra oil off. Exactly.
And then you're left with the delicious chip. Dry. And now they're going to go over there to those ladies, and then what happens?
They're going to pick out any chips that aren't cooked enough or any chips that are burnt.
Hi, Paula. Nice to see you. And what's your name?
Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. What are we doing here?
We're sorting out the bad chips.
There are no bad chips. There's just potatoes that haven't been logged properly. Isn't that exciting?
Oh, that's a very nice sentiment from Rick. I mean, he is kind of just getting in their way, but that's a hell of an image right there. But look at that. Just the conveyor belt of chips and just hand done. I mean, I guess it makes sense just to be kind of picking out every single one because you can immediately identify it. And then the outsourcing of that to a camera system with a hand picker, it basically couldn't be done for any level like this. But I guess you just would change the way you cook it so you basically have zero bad chips. Like I can't imagine Smiths and Kettle or really just the world wide web of chips, big chips, so to say, having to deal with hand picking it out. But I don't know, maybe they do. Maybe that's just the way it's done. I am also very impressed about the centrifuge as well, as I was wondering how they were going to kind of get that oil out, as to force it out. Like, do you just have to wait? I was thinking they would just have to wait. Like they would just put it out onto a massive rack and just try and wait for it to... I mean, if oil doesn't evaporate though, so of course you have to force it out. But that's why I was wondering, why and how could you possibly get all of that oil out? So when he was saying, oh, I was going to be eating in 4 minutes, that's what I was most surprised about. But there is other processes, and that machine right there is everyone's favorite. Whether it's the rotor at any kind of amusement park or making of the chips or anything like that, separating your blood, centrifuges are so good at what they do.
Isn't that exciting? I mean, if you like chips, you gotta love that. What's not to like?
What's going on there?
Now, this conveyor belt goes right to one of Mike Duffy's residences. That's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
They were not ready for Rick. Look, they were not ready for him at all. They were going, yes, where did it goes right to the chip packing, the air frying, the this, nope. And then all of a sudden, they just couldn't take it. Trying to be professional, but loving what he ever
okay.
was doing. What is he doing? He's
Now
got
look,
way
you don't
too
have to
chips
worry.
falling
I
off the
checked
side.
everything from here to here. They're all good.
What? He's all good. He's just ruining their entire thing. You know, they've got the bridge shirt on and he's got the crew shirt on, which is kind of funny to be having Rick wearing a crew shirt. He's not crew, he's talent. But I also don't think that he's talented enough to be checking every individual chip in that gigantic pile that is now going to be falling onto the floor. Like you said, if you like chips, you look at this, but also don't look at this because you're going to be a little bit disheartened by the fact that he's wasting chips. I don't know what he's doing here. He's just going crazy, and he really is just being a menace. I think RMR should just be rebranded as Rick Menacing Reporters. He's always just being a menace to everyone, whether it's bears or chips or anything else in between. Look at them. How are you meant to deal with all of that?
I've gotten rid of the bad chips, now what?
All right, so now we gotta put the seasoning on.
Oh, which one?
50 pounds of salt.
Salt's half the road to New Brunswick with this.
What makes chips taste so good? Well, I don't know, son. Okay, we've salted the chips, and now they come out and they're delicious, correct?
That's right.
And the chips are falling where they may.
God, salt. That's so much stuff. Oh, packaging. Okay. Nice.
Did you ever put like a little extra one in there as a treat?
No.
Surely if you're going to eat one before it's been packed. You've just wasted a whole packet, and I can't imagine that they're dealing with a volume that it's going to be that cheap to be making those chips, so you've probably just taken $1 out of their entire profits, which is only $1, but be a little bit careful there, Rick. You don't want to be too loving of the chips. They might just come back to bite you in multiple ways as the people just go, hang on a second, why did we invite you again? And then your love handles go, hang on a second, we're getting a little bit too large for ourselves, too many chips in the Rick. But again, I just want to come back and see all the mechatronics here, all of the conveyor belts, and this machine, what is it possibly doing? I mean, it looks like it's constantly overflowed. Maybe it's constantly being fed, but it's the packing machine, so it's just, it almost looks like a arcade game where the coins slowly get pushed off the edge and you got to drop more coins in there. It kind of looks like that's how it's working in terms of the chips slowly push each other out of the way into these funnely things. And so I'd love to know if I'm right or wrong and what it's actually doing here. But my goodness, just all the processes and all the design, let alone the packaging processes, which I guess they could just be, you know, people know how to do packaging, but it's all so impressive. And especially on this kind of scale, but I can't imagine that anyone in the UK and Australia and Peru and everyone else is seeing these chips. So they are going to be a small scale and they're still using that much salt for what, like 1,000 chips, 2,000 chips, or 10 chips, as he did mention that it might be the secret ingredient to making their chips taste so good is just go crazy on the salt. I mean, if it was in Australia, it might also be chicken salt as another option, which they might want to explore. People do generally like the chicken salt. It's not to everyone's taste, but it's a little bit different. Whereas this one, where I'm just trying to see what these exact chips were, I mean, maybe they're just sweet potato with salt. That would make sense, I guess, in a way, in terms of the color of the packaging and whatnot. And we haven't really seen them previously, and that guy loves his job apparently in the background. That's a little bit of a forced shirt if you ask me, but if they are truly sweet potato chips, they can just soak up that salt forever.
Too
many. You just wouldn't want any more chips anymore.
It's just not
This is good. I got the hang of it. Can I take a bag home?
Yes, definitely.
Because I brought my own bag.
What, the Volker bag? That's so many potatoes. Or actually, I wonder how many potatoes that would be. Like, it's probably, if you filled up that whole bag, considering how much air generally is in a bag, that's probably already too many for the ratio of chips to air for a bag that large. And he's got, I don't know, what, 5 kilos of chips in there or something like that? It would be a big share packet. But still, it's not as much as probably you think. It's probably only, I don't know, what, 10 sweet potatoes? 5 sweet potatoes worth of chips, which I guess I can clearly afford as there is plenty on the ground from Rick just suddenly deciding that he brought his own bag, almost like it's 7-Eleven day, and bringing any kind of container you possibly can just to drain the entire system. You know, we've never heard of these chip company, probably because they went out of business 10 years ago, the day after that Rick filmed this for some unbeknownst reason. And also, I just feel bad for this worker because he just pushed it so far, and then look, they took the smallest possible chip. Like I said, you just wouldn't want any more chips. You might go, yes, it's a job. Apparently, I love my job, but at the same time, I might not even love sweet potatoes from the start, let alone the fact that I now work in this place and I know, one, how they're made, and two, I'm around them all day. I don't think you'd want to see another chip in your life, let alone if you're just on the sweet potato line and that's all you're doing. No, sign me out of that. There's no way you'd want me having any more.
How are you gonna get that home?
Oh, I got a plan.
Oh! Wow, that's actually surprisingly light. Oh my goodness, how much does it weigh? The vacuum bag.
I might have to eat them before I get on
What
the
is
plane.
he doing? Look at how many there were. I just want to see him just pull up with that because they just shrunk down so much. Oh, I see. He's actually trying to fit it into the overhead carry-on. That is kind of impressive that he managed to get them down that much, but at the same time, I guess he's just going to be having chip dust, which will probably just be sweet potato and salt, which I guess they are already, but just in dust form instead of solid form. Either way, he clearly had quite a time at this place, and he didn't even really mention the bridge. I was hoping that they might just throw a little bit more of the bridge in there and just learn a little bit more about it. But of course, it was Rick makes potato chips, and so we learned how he makes potato chips, from the slicing to the dicing to the salting to the crushing in this regard. We learned every single step, so if anyone is ever thinking about starting a business, whether it's potato chip or anything else, as much as you might want the PR, it's probably not best to be inviting Rick if he is just going to be stealing your entire yearly yield.